When I arrived at this secluded North Shore estate, I was welcomed by this very gracious courtyard, beautifully landscaped, a very refined space. It gives you a real feeling of welcome, even on a rainy day like today. And here are some others who welcomed me. Chickens, a turkey, alpacas, horses, and Harry Oppenheimer. And you have lived here for over 40 years on this 25-acre parcel. This kills me. You're in Highland Park. I would expect to find this more like an hour out. How did this happen, 25 acres in Highland Park?
We're very lucky. This farm, which is a gentleman's farm with 25 acres, was from 1920s. And we were lucky enough to buy it in 1971. And we've enjoyed it ever since with our kids, grandkids, etc.
I can see why you would, because you have not only a very nice house that we're going to see, but all the outbuildings, the horses, the paddocks, pond, all sorts of things to do. It seems as if that would give you some advantages. You've got Highland Park very close by, but all of this expanse.
Exactly, and it's just great coming in the driveway. It's just a pleasure. I remind myself how lucky we are that we have 25 acres in the middle of suburbia.
It's nice. It feels as if you're so far removed from civilization, but it's actually all right outside the gate, right?
Absolutely. Not only is Eden's Highway less than a mile from here, but we have a Starbucks and a Dunkin' Donuts on the corner.
The interesting thing about the interior of the house is that you could convince yourself that it's looked this way since the 1920s, with these nice rusticated beams overhead, the windows all around that bring in daylight, if there were any today, and views of all the grounds. It feels like a very elegant farmhouse from the 20s. However, the room I'm sitting in was not built until the 1980s. When the farm was started in the 20s, it was only workers who lived here on the farm. The owner of the farm actually lived a few miles east on the lakefront in Highland Park. So by the time the Oppenheimers got here in the 70s, the only buildings there were for them to live in were actually a pair of coach houses, one here and one there. They lived that way for a while, and then in the 80s they created a bridge between the two, combined the houses into one, creating this nice, gracious living room, the dining room next door, and then they reused some of the spaces. This music room next to me was the porch of one coach house, and then it has a companion on the other former coach house, still a porch. They also created a nice big kitchen. Obviously, the workers who lived here wouldn't have had a kitchen of that size. And there's so much space when you make that combination that in the master bedroom you can take up a few rooms just to make a great big walk-in closet. So they did a great job here combining two small houses into one much larger one. That still left them several other buildings to deal with on the estate. There are numerous outbuildings here, including a guest house here next to me, or it could be staff quarters. There are 2 stable buildings here. There are more than that. In all, you can stable 20 horses on this property, especially in the very beautiful one here. It's original. There's also a building here that is residential. It could be an office. It could be a guest house. And then clear across the property, there's another house. Looks like a house. It actually started life as a party pavilion and is so far away that you could easily put a member of the family in there you don't really want to see. Now, as Harry said, life is really lived outdoors here. There's so much to do. There's this stocked fishing pond. There are paddocks and pastures for horses, lots of room to ride. There's a swimming pool. There's a tennis court. There's a squash court. There's a hammock. There's an awful lot to do on this property. And if you work up a big appetite from all that outdoor activity, here in the hen house, the hens are laying breakfast.